No, I actually don't believe in that at all.
The one. Hello everybody, my name is Paris.
I'm Selina.
Welcome to our channel. We are Love Uncut. So this week we wanted to talk about the top 5 relationship myths from our perspective.
So we're Mythbusters this week.
Pew, 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 pew. Because we haven't spoken about relationship stuff that much. We thought we'd let it marinate.
Yeah.
As a topic. So let's start then. Let's get right into it with myth number 1,
which is
love solves everything. So what do you think about that choice as a myth?
I guess I wish it was true because it's like cute and fairies and unicorns, but I don't think it is. And the reason I say this is because I think that you can fall in love with someone and like they might have issues that are bigger than love. So if someone is a narcissist or if someone has some sort of addiction problem, and these are all things that maybe you don't know when you're being charmed and in the process of falling in love, right? So I think that those kind of things are bigger than love, and maybe love can help, but I think that a lot of people rely on love to be like the fixer of everything and the plaster of everything, and in the end, like, is that actually the best thing for you? Because I don't know, love is a tricky one, right? Because it's meant to be two people. If you're in love in a good environment, it's two people showing love. And when it's just kind of one person that's carrying that burden of showing love and helping someone else and sort of pouring themselves into that person, if it is in kind of a bad situation, then that's never going to work.
In a relationship, it's all about reciprocity.
Is that a word?
I think that's a word, yeah. So it basically means
being reciprocal.
Yeah. And whether it's the love side of things, whether it's the effort side of things, whatever it is in your relationship setting, you want it to kind of be matched in its own way. And yeah, I mean, you mentioned narcissism. I think a lot of YouTube channels and all the blogs are talking about, if you're with a narcissist. I don't know why that's such a popular topic, but yeah, it was interesting because there was a discussion that, I was part of, and they spoke about some people have narcissistic traits. So you don't even have to be a full-blown narcissist.
Yeah.
You can have some of the traits, and that's going to be a problem. And oftentimes you find that you're pouring into an empty hole, basically, which is speaking to that reciprocity thing. You're not getting anything back. So yeah, I totally agree. Love is a major component, but
I feel like it's the foundation, right? And then all the other stuff builds off of it.
I don't know if it's a shaky foundation, because love is a feeling and feelings can come and go, but it's definitely the first part of the cake that you make, that you're mixing together. So yeah, it's a very popular, and as I say, it's something that's been sold as unicorns and rainbows and commercialized. So the best thing that you could do as a young person is try and kick all those Disney fantasies out of your head.
Oh no, but you have to enjoy the elements of love as well. Like, you can't just be like, forget about love.
I'm not saying forget it, just forget the Disney version. That's what I'm trying to say.
So we'll move on to number 2, and number 2 is you must be in a relationship to be happy.
So that's a myth that I think exists even before you get into a relationship. Kind of links into what Disney do.
It's the ideal, isn't it, to like be with someone and find your soulmate, which I think we might come on to later. But it's interesting because I guess as a couple, a lot of people say that, oh well, you're a couple, so you have no kind of right to say that. But even when I was single, it's always like, oh, are you dating anyone? What's going on? Have you been on any dates? Are you on this app? And it's sort of just almost a lot of pressure, and it's like you feel like if you haven't done that, then almost there's nothing to say, or is there something wrong with you, when actually being single is probably a lot less stressful sometimes than being in a relationship.
Oh, for sure.
Because it's just you're not having to kind of balance
and consider.
Yeah.
You can go up, down, left, and right. I mean, I don't think single men get the same sort of attention on them, but you are. I mean, when say your friends start doing things like having kids or getting married and stuff, I guess some people will use it as a competition thing, and people will be feeling like, I mean, I've met men, just as many men as women, that feel like, they need to find that person or it's done. And in all these Disney films, like, most of the time there is a love interest. I've never seen a Disney film where there isn't a love interest.
There are a few, like Moana, she didn't have a love interest. I like
she was a kid.
I think more of the more fair enough. More of the more modern ones, they don't focus so much on that, maybe,
but I feel like they do. So yeah, we blame Disney for a lot of these myths.
Oh, I love
for sure.
Disney.
No, I love Disney and take it for what it is. Most of the time, it's beautiful films and imaginative films, but it does propagate a lot of these myths. And yeah, I think I agree. With what you're saying in terms of, you were cool by yourself when you weren't in a relationship. It's all about self-love as far as possible. Which is something that's harder to come by when you're younger. But if you can love yourself enough and then someone else can build you up, then you're all good and you can grow together.
I think that's the really key point. It's really hard to be in a relationship if you're not happy just being by yourself, because in a relationship you sort of juggling yourself and someone else and trying to make it work, and humans are just complicated and complex, just on their own. To imagine two in one thing, and I think that's a massive thing I learned a couple years ago about self-love and are you happy with who you are and all that kind of stuff. And I really think that if you're not at a place where you're happy with, or at least trying to be happy with yourself, then you will really struggle to be happy with someone else, because you won't really know who you are, and they'll be like, whoa, what's going on, everything I say is triggering this or that or whatever. So it makes it harder, I think.
Yeah, and I think, going back to what you're saying about narcissistic traits, or just people that generally want to be in a relationship to get what they can get out of it rather than giving back, those people can tell.
They prey on people like that, don't they?
Yeah, they can smell you from a mile away, and so hard to get out once you're in that cycle, and people can spend years and years.
Yeah,
life happens like that sometimes. I wouldn't say it's a waste of time, but it's just a trap that you can avoid if you really reframe your thinking.
And I guess something, just because you said that life happens like that, life does happen, and I think a lot of people will unfortunately experience that in life, unless you're the narcissist yourself. A lot of narcissists
they'll never admit that.
Will prey on people. I mean, I've been there myself, I'm not ashamed to say, and you kind of reflect and you're like, how did I miss this sign, and how was I taken advantage of so much? It's a learning experience, and that's really what you can take away from it. I don't think anyone should sort of beat themselves down. You kind of just have to forgive yourself.
Yeah,
it's not really your fault, but there is an element of forgiving yourself, because I think a lot of people hold it against themselves, and just grow from it. A little bit of a tangent.
No, it just shows that sometimes life isn't a fairy tale, particularly where romantic relationships are concerned, but each kind of heartbreak does make you the person that you are. And it does lead you to your next kind of leveling up, not necessarily just relationship wise, just as a person, I guess. Number three, so without marriage your relationship is invalid. Now I guess I want to kick this one off. If you are both religious in your relationship, then that's not a myth, that's your reality.
There's an expectation of that.
For sure. But that said, it was interesting. I was in another discussion, and someone said that there are plenty of figures in the Bible who were single and happy and prosperous. So it's not, maybe it just depends on your interpretation. But for example, in the Christian faith anyway, I'm not sure about others, but generally speaking, you better be married or else. But no, there are plenty of couples out there whose priorities are different. Not everybody is going for that marriage goal as the number one goal. Some people want to build businesses, some people want to have kids, some people want to see how it goes, some people want to be engaged for ages, some people aren't sure how they feel, and suddenly 1 year in, or 2 years, 4 years in, you change your mind. So
Yeah.
it's not a prefixed priority of marriage. It's not that you're invalid without it. It's not that you're worth less as a man or a woman. It's not about necessarily what people are willing to marry you. You know, you marry each other. It's not a man that gives you the value, or a woman that gives you the value by putting a ring on it. But it's such a strong, eye-watering myth that I think a lot of people will be triggered as soon as we put that third point out there. What do you mean? Knock this off. But you lot come back to the video when you got a clearer mind. It's cool, man. Because
I just wanted to piggyback off the point you made about single people in the Bible, because it wasn't just about them being happy. Like, they were actually used by God to do things. So it wasn't, again, coming back to your point on worth, it's not like just because you're married you're worth more than someone who isn't married. So I just wanted to make that really clear. I think some people do think that if you are a Christian and you're not married, something is wrong. And I mean, I know that aspects of, living together and being together and not being married that perhaps are seen as a sin. I'm not going to get into that discussion right now, but I'm just talking about worth. Like, one is not worth more than the other in terms of, God or anyone seeing you as you are. I guess for me, I think marriage is a nice, bonus, kind of the cherry on top, because it's a way of expressing to each other. I'm not even worried about anyone else, but just each other, that I do want to spend my life with you, and it's kind of a way of committing in a, I guess, not just between both of you, but you're doing it in front of the world, so to speak, and it's like you're celebrating your relationship. I think the problem with marriage is that people put so much value on it that everything else kind of gets forgotten. Like, the actual relationship gets forgotten, or what do you actually think of marriage gets forgotten. It's just like everyone's climbing for this ideal to prove that their relationship is worthwhile, or to prove to their family that it's serious, or to prove to, I don't know, if they're having a children.
If they're having a children. You just learn English. If you are having a children.
If they're having kids, it's like, oh, we have to get married to prove that it's a legit family,
That's a big thing in this country.
That's a big thing. I think it's a big thing in a lot of countries, but I do think that there is value in it if you as a couple find it valuable.
100%.
So it's not nice when people are forced to do it, or when people kind of hold it over each other, because then resentment just builds. But I think it can add a lot of value if you're both on the same page. If you're not on the same page, then it might not be the best thing to jump into.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's important for people to do things like premarital counselling. And I think even maybe psychoanalysis of both of you. If you are what they call dating to marry, or just at any point, because there's a lot of people that don't move in together until they're married, and that's a whole other conversation. I do feel levels. Sorry to interrupt. Yeah, that's it. Go on.
I was going to say, I do feel like that's interesting. That's an interesting discussion in itself. Like, should you do that? I think you should, because you have to know someone before you marry them, surely. Or if you can even live together. Some people will just be like this all the time. Or at least, if you are like that all the time, you have some time to figure out how to not be like that all the time. Like, you can't just get married and be squabbling every day.
No,
but
it's tricky.
Just my opinion.
It's tricky. Look, this institution is old as hell. Do you know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying we have all the answers, but I'm just saying in this world, in this life, there are 7 billion, maybe coming up to 8 billion people. Not all of them are married, yet all of them are here. Lots of people have fulfilled lives, with or without. So the next point is, there's only one person out there for you.
No, I actually don't believe in that at all.
The one.
I think it depends on who you meet, when you meet them, how you meet them, who you are at the time that you meet the other person, and all the things for them. I just think, there can't just be one person for everyone. There can't. Doesn't make sense.
I don't know if I've already heard many women say that, like, openly.
I just don't think there is, like, just logically speaking, especially because some people are, like, not just one way inclined in terms of who they're attracted to. Some people are bi, some people are gay, some people are straight, some people change. It's a spectrum. Like, how do you make sure there's one person for every person if stuff changes?
It's nonsense.
Or if you change as a person, how will, like, do you know what I mean? There are just so many variables, and maybe I'm just being too, like, practical, I don't know, and I'm missing the magic here, but I just don't think that's true. It can't be practically feasible.
And I think, you know, missing the magic or missing the delusion, do you know what I mean? And there's a lot of illusory magic out there, and yeah, I mean, I totally agree. It's all about the timing for me. Like, someone could be ideal for you to get into a relationship with, but the timing's completely off. So you just never ended up going down that path.
Yeah.
I think there's actually globally more women than men, so someone somewhere is, you know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying, it just doesn't match up.
Yeah, but a lot of people do attach that to their faith, and again, in this Christian discussion,
but I think that gets lost with the idea that in some faiths, I mean, I can only speak off of the Christian one because that's, you know, my background, but it says God has set aside someone for you, right? But that doesn't mean that God has only set aside one person for you and that's it. Like, I know people who are Christian that have had multiple marriages, whether it's because someone has died in the first marriage or they got divorced or there was domestic abuse. Like, you know, that might have been part of the story, and then there's someone else that God sets aside that actually is a better fit for you, and like, I don't know, I'm not God, but all I know is I just don't believe there's one person at one time and that's it. Like, if you meet someone and you're, I don't know, late teens and you stay with them forever, that's amazing, and I think that's the cutest thing. But it's like, I don't think that's the majority of people's stories.
No, people be out here chasing unicorns, you know, and upset because their unicorn isn't a unicorn, you know, and it's dangerous. Some women want to stay with somebody, or men want to stay with somebody because that's the first person, and it's really not the right fit. So it's absolute nonsense. I don't even think it's really...
Oh, you mean in terms of first person they had
just
relationship?
They met, yeah,
Sorry,
for sure. And again, I might even blame Disney for that, you know, a little bit. Disney gets a little bit of corn on fire for that. And, you know, I would say, yeah, on top of that, again, a discussion I was in, you know, a lot of people do think it's biblical and it's religious. It's not, it's cultural. I believe it's the Greeks who first coined this term and wove it into our culture, and people don't look into the research and the background to even realise why they think what they think. So yeah,
I guess it's because it's also it's like a nice sentiment,
concept,
isn't it? That there's the one for you and the one for me, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, people get into big ages though. I believe that is just like that.
I don't know. I think if things work out, fantastic, and you both have to proactively, you know, be working towards that if that's what you want. It's always about people being on the same page to me. That's how things work.
Do you want to say this one? Because I think you did 2, I did 2.
Okay. So number 5, both of you will stay the same as when you first met.
This is the big one, and I think it maybe links into the point before that, you know, you're going to have the rigid one and this is it. Like, it doesn't, it's just too reductionist, it's too simplistic. As you said about an earlier point, humans are complicated, humans do grow. I like to call humans lava lamps. You might have heard me say that on an earlier episode. And I say that because lava lamps have different colours that change, they have different shapes that move through them. We are organic individuals. You know, we are susceptible to our external environment, we are susceptible to our internal environment. Especially when you meet people in their formative years of, you know, 11, 12, or even up to anything up to 25, actually, you can expect them to change.
Even past that, I'd say.
Yeah, maybe more dramatically when you're younger, but yes, even past that. People find hobbies, people quit jobs.
Yeah, or people just get like midlife crisis, sorry to coin the term, but people do, like, they do stuff that's completely out of character because they're just like, I'm sick of the same thing every day, I want to change. And then sometimes they make really stupid decisions and lose everything that actually they do love and value. But anyway,
yeah, it's complicated as hell.
Very
And
complicated.
if you're not with somebody expecting them to grow, then don't be with somebody. I know it's a bit of a harsh thing to say,
Yeah.
but it's you're with a human, not a robot. And I think the fundamental line about relationships is that if you're in one, it's for growth. And I think, kind of one of the main meanings of life is to grow and explore and expand. And hopefully you can do that together. You allow the other person to do that.
And sometimes it's hard, if people change or their opinions change on stuff. But I think that's when it comes back to things like love, because, okay, if you love someone, you should be willing to hear them out and talk about it. And then you talk about it and you figure out, okay, that's cool. I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you to grow in that way. All good. Or if it's something that actually you can't abide or get on board with, then if you love someone and you love yourself, then you're not going to keep being in a situation that makes you unhappy, or you have to kind of hide in the wallpaper. You can't express your opinions, so I think that's where, for me, the element of really understanding what love is comes in to, which is, if you love someone, you're not going to hold them back. But if you love yourself, you're not going to hold yourself back either. It's very complicated. And look, we are not gurus. We're figuring stuff out ourselves, I'd say both of us have changed in different ways along the way. But we've always, at the end of the day, always ended up encouraging each other through those changes and phases of growth, even if it was hard or a struggle to understand initially.
Just to add an additional point there as well, you've changed is always presented in a negative way by friends, by family, by your partner. And it's so reductionist and simplistic. They can never really tell you how you've changed. The truth is, how they feel about you has changed, and you've probably just grown. You haven't really changed, you've grown, and change is natural, change is inevitable, change is the aim, as I say, of life. So, people might present change as a negative thing, and humans do seem to crave a level of certainty.
I can get on board with that. It is hard when things change, but I think maybe there's a flip side to that, because if you're changing and growing for the better, like for yourself, standing up for yourself, or for other people, or learning about things that you're interested in, like, that's all good. But if you've changed to become, like, I don't know, meaner, or like more focused on money or things like that can be a bit of a shock sometimes.
Sometimes it's not presented with that direct, identifiable factor. You know what I mean? Of money, or you're spending less time with your family, or whatever. Oftentimes it's presented from a place of people wanting to control you. So most of the time, just give them an elbow, you know what I'm saying, metaphorically.
The elbow.
Yeah, and I think it's because I'm a free spirit anyway, which means that I'm inclined to go up, down, and left, right. So especially me being that way, I don't like people suddenly drawing a box around who I was when they met me, and then just do. You know what I'm saying? I can't move out of this. Nah, bruv, nah. So that's a big point there. And the other point I just wanted to add on there is, in terms of, what love means. I mean, Selina summarised it excellently. There's nothing more I could add to that. I just wanted to speak...
But there is something more.
I wanted to speak about me, right? And my perspective on love and growth. And, what underlines all my relationships. Whether it's family, friends, or romantic relationships, is you want them to, expand their horizons and achieve what they can be. And sometimes that involves them growing apart from you in some way. And, sometimes in a relationship, you can reel it back in, you can address it, but sometimes, it just continues that way. And that's just a cold, hard truth.
It is very cold and very hard.
Yeah, especially in a relationship setting, for the topic of this video, because knowing you could get with someone just to eventually break up, like there's something you know, that definitely will harm you and scar you in its own kind of way.
Especially if, like, I don't know, 80% of things, you know, are all wonderful, and then it's that 20% that you just can't, it's hard. And I guess everyone just makes their decision on what they will compromise on, or, you know, allow, not allow. You have to make that decision for yourself, and also as a couple. But it is really hard, especially when you've got that feeling of love. It is very hard. It does complicate things.
Yeah, if you love someone, they say let them go. I don't know about that, but if you love someone,
but then they say fight for someone if you love them as well. Like, they're all these contradicting statements, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, you know, if you love someone, let them go. I mean, we're not really saying that's the, you know, the main statement to follow, because as you say, there's a lot of contradictions there. But if you love someone, let them grow. Yes, and sometimes it may grow away from you, but maybe you can grow together. But you know, this is the bonus and the gamble, and life's a gamble.
It is.
So why
relationships are a gamble, aren't they? Really,
yeah, exactly.
Just putting two crazy lava lamps together.
Exactly. So yeah, figure out along the way, people. We want to know though. What are your top relationship myths? Do you agree with our ones? Do you have additional ones? And definitely let us know in the comments. We probably missed
quite a few out, but those are the top 5 that we've always experienced.
So thank you for watching. Definitely like, share and subscribe if you're feeling the vibe. We will be back next week at 6 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time. Anything else you wanted to add to our people? Thank you for watching, even into 2021. Thank you for sticking with us. We appreciate it. 100% people. All right then. So I'll catch you next time.